Welcome back to another National Real Estate Exam Prep. And today we're going to talk about real estate contracts. More specifically, we're going to go over 5 questions with their explanations as to why they are the answer. Which of these is an essential element of a contract? Competent parties. Competent parties are one of the 5 essential elements of a valid contract. In a deed, key elements include words of conveyance and a competent grantor. Only the grantor, the one transferring ownership, signs the deed, not the grantee. If upon receipt of an offer to purchase his property, the seller makes a counteroffer, the original offer is terminated. When a seller rejects the original offer, it is terminated and no longer exists. If the seller makes a counteroffer, it becomes a new offer. The buyer can then accept, reject, or counter that new offer. A vendor and a vendee enter into a land contract. Who holds legal title to the subject property? The vendor. A land contract is a type of seller financing. The seller, vendor, keeps legal title during the contract. Legal title means ownership recorded by deed. The buyer, vendee, holds equitable title, which gives them the right to live in it and use the property. Once the buyer pays off the contract, the seller gives them a deed, and the buyer receives full ownership, both legal and equitable title. A contract is said to be bilateral if all parties to the contract exchange binding promises. A bilateral contract is when both parties are legally bound to perform. Example, a typical purchase agreement. A contract that is not yet fully performed is called executory. A unilateral contract binds only one party to act. Like a reward offer for one side makes a promise. Contingencies, like financing or inspection, can appear in both bilateral and unilateral contracts. The seller has accepted monetary consideration and has agreed to sell his property for an agreed upon amount within a specified time frame. If the buyer then chooses to purchase, this contract is called an option contract. An option contract gives the buyer the right, but not the obligation, to purchase the property in the future. The seller accepts option money and agrees to keep the offer open for a set price and time frame. If the buyer chooses to exercise the option, the seller must sell under the agreed terms. All right, this was 5 questions with their explanations as to why they are the answer. If this was helpful, give us a thumbs up and subscribe because we drop a new video every week to help you pass your national real estate exam.